Hello and welcome everyone. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining in on the session today on tips to manage speed and performance for this upcoming festive season. I'll take you through some of the critical aspects that some of the new sellers or some of you already existing sellers on Amazon would want to revise and be prepared for to ensure a good sale festival in the coming few weeks. Uh, Today we'll be covering some points on how sellers can configure their handling time, how speed of delivery matters to customers, and how can shipping performance also influence how you're able to perform well on Amazon. Your customers are delighted. We'll also be covering ESD-based shipping on the EasyShip fulfillment channel. As many of you are on EasyShip channel, as well as how managing pickups, returns, good practices, and the existing Amazon policies around this we'd be covering today, right? Just give me a second. Sorry. So starting with how delivery speed matters and what benefits does faster shipping and showing better promises to customer influence your selling on Amazon. How can and why should you be interested in shipping out faster? So we have done a bunch of customer surveys and we found that there's a lot of customer satisfaction. Customer is very keen on looking at the delivery timelines of the products that they are searching for, or the way they influence to get and place an order is something that a faster delivery timeline influences a customer. The chance of a customer looking at a product and then eventually placing an order increases when we show faster delivery promises, right? And then internally, the internal buy box mechanisms also kind of influence or get influenced by how fast a delivery is shown to customers. So in turn, like if you're able to keep products in stock, you have visibility of your inventory and you're able to ship it out faster and hand it to the carrier partner, then we strongly recommend that for potentially high sales, doing good business on Amazon, you should configure faster shipping, right? And how can you do that? And before how can you do that, how are delivery promises shown to customers is what we'll focus on next, right? So as you can see in the bottom of the screen, a delivery promise shown to customers is on the basis of two parameters. One is the handling time that a seller configures on their offers. That is effectively the time taken by you to procure, pack, and hand over to the product to the delivery associate. And then the second aspect comes the time taken by the delivery associate or the carrier partner to deliver it to the customer. There's a third angle that there should be no holidays, or there should be no instance of non-working day in between, else the delivery promises shown to the customers will accordingly be increased, right? So from seller perspective, two key takeaways on how you can ship faster. One is you configure handling times, you keep products in stock and you configure handling times to the tune of how fast you can hand it over. We have options for you to configure 1 day, 2 day, and handling times in the form of additional days. But we strongly urge, if you can ship and keep inventory with yourselves, then stick to a 1 day handling time, keep your products with yourself and ship it out and hand it to the courier partner in a 1 day SLA. The second key tip here would be you continue working on all 7 days of the week. That's also important, so that let's say some customers looking at your products on a Friday or a Saturday do not end up seeing longer promises because you don't work on a Sunday. So how can you keep your staff rotating so that there are ship outs happening even on a Sunday? So these two critical parameters would influence and make your offers look more attractive in nature to customers, and then you can get the benefits that we earlier discussed about. Now coming to the next point of how you can configure a faster handling time. There are two settings on handling time configurations. One is the account level default handling time. As you can see on the screen, the shipping settings is the place where the handling time feature is there. You can see at the bottom of the screenshot where the default handling time is configured. You can go and edit there, and you can make your account level settings to default to a 1 day. We give an option between 1 or 2 days. New sellers launch with a 1 day default handling time, while some of you might be existing sellers and your default handling time might be 2 days. So we strongly encourage you to go and change the settings, but you have to ensure that you keep your stock in your warehouses and you're able to ship it out at a 1 day cadence. So you need to ensure that you do not end up missing out on the orders. That is something on how you can do at an account level. Next up, we will move on to how you can configure your handling time at an ASIN level or an SKU level, right? So there are ways for you to do it one cross one on your individual offers or ASINs, or you can do it through bulk mechanisms as well. If you go to your manage inventory page, there you will find all your SKUs and all your ASINs and offers in the page. You can edit whichever offer you want to update the handling time for, and as in the center of the screen you see that you will find one of the options as handling time. You can configure 1 day, 2 day, whatever you feel like configuring. Again, this will influence how fast you're expected to ship out orders. So be very careful in updating anything. Your operational processes should also be up to the tune of shipping out at that faster cadence. So we strongly urge you, but you have to improve your processes internally to ensure you actually ship out at a 1 day cadence. Second, you can also do ASIN level or offer level updates through bulk mechanism. In the bottom of your screen, you'll find that the listing loader file and how you can get to the listing loader file in the inventory under add products via upload option. You can download the inventory file. On the listing loader file, you can then update the handling time on bulk ASINs, whichever ASINs you want to update. You can select those ASINs and add those ASINs in that file and update the handling time for that. Now, we have spoken about faster shipping and how faster shipping is beneficial to sellers as well as customers find faster promises attractive. We can move on to the next aspect, which is on maintaining seller performance, right? As we were discussing, when you configure a handling time on your ASINs or your offers, the ship by date is decided when an order is received. You are expected to ship out or hand it over to the carrier by the ship by date. If not, then we track a bunch of seller performance metrics, which again are bad experience for you as an account holder, as well as your customers who may not get the delivery as per promise or may even get the order cancelled, which is a bad experience. So let's quickly go through what all metrics do we track, and we expect sellers also to closely track. The first one here is late dispatch rate. So as for all offers, an estimated ship by date will be designated when an order is received. You will get one additional day for all your standard non-guaranteed delivery orders. So some of you might be prime sellers, or some of you might be guaranteed delivery sellers, and maybe others may be standard either ship sellers. So on all non-guaranteed delivery, that is standard orders, you will get one additional day post your ship by date as a defect day for you to late ship the order. So that's a buffer that is provided, but you are tracked on your late dispatch rate. So you can look at your late dispatch for a trailing 10-day and trailing 30-day period that we also track internally for all your accounts to ensure that your late dispatch rate is not high, and you're supposed to hand it over to the carrier partner or confirm ship on your MFN orders latest by your estimated ship by date. Moving on to the next seller performance metric that we track, which is on cancellation rate. Cancellation rate is again a metric which tracks all seller controllable cancellations during the trailing 7-day and a 30-day period at all times, right? So if for some reasons you're unable to ship it out to the carrier, you have an option to go ahead and cancel an order. And if not, then end of the day, 1 day post the ship by date, the order will automatically get cancelled. Please note that the guaranteed delivery orders get cancelled on the end of the day on the ship by day itself. That is 12 midnight on the ship by date, and the standard delivery orders get cancelled on the 12 midnight of 1 day post the ship by date, right? So you're supposed to again closely track and monitor your cancellation rate metric. This again is a very bad experience for customers who have browsed and added your product to cart to place an order to eventually not get them delivered. The third defect that we track is called the order defect rate. The order defect rate is a measure of a better customer experience, a convenience to customer on all aspects that they have seen in your order. So the negative feedback and A to Z guaranteed delivery claims on applicable products will contribute to an order defect that is counted against this metric. So you are supposed to maintain your order defect rate for a trailing 60-day time period under a mentioned threshold. So please make a note, these three are very important metrics that will allow you to be, let's say, given prime eligibilities if you're doing very good on metrics, or be suspended from the fulfillment channels of EasyShip and MFN. So you need to be very closely aware of tracking these metrics. We will move on to a couple of other metrics that are specific to the self-ship fulfillment channels. The first three metrics that we discussed on late dispatch rate and cancellation rate and order defect rate are applicable to both EasyShip and self-ship. These two matrices, the valid tracking rate and the on-time delivery rate, are applicable only to self-ship. So what is valid tracking rate? When you ship confirm your shipments on self-ship, you are supposed to enter a tracking ID and a tracking number, right? So in case you have a carrier which is not having or you don't have a valid tracking for a order that you're ship confirming, that will be tracked as a defect against this metric. We expect you to maintain your trailing 30-day time period valid tracking rate and closely monitor the number of orders and the percentage of orders which are actually having a tracking ID. The last metric that we track specifically on self-ship is the on-time delivery rate. This is representation of all orders which are delivered by the promised date to the customers, right? We don't want customers to be promised a delivery date and then the orders are not getting delivered. So this is again a metric tracked for the trailing 30-day period. Moving on to what are the expected metrics that you maintain for, let's say, getting continuing to sell on EasyShip and self-ship, as well as on the EasyShip Prime and local shops Prime programs. So you are expected to maintain your late dispatch rate and your cancellation rate metrics under 2% at all times for your standard EasyShip and self-ship accounts. But if you're if on the order defect rate, then you're supposed to maintain under 1% of your metric at all times. Your valid tracking rate on self-ship should be around over and at least 95%, and your on-time delivery rate is expected to be over and at least 97% of your orders, right? Again, the metrics are tracked for different time periods, so you need to ensure that the time periods that we track and give transparency to you also on your Seller Central account, you should maintain those metrics. Now, talking about what you need to do from a Prime perspective, if you have or you want to be eligible for EasyShip or local shops Prime programs, then your late shipment and cancellation rate and order defect rates should all be under 0.5%. So we expect that Prime customers who have more trust and want to place an order should not get cancelled, should not be late shipped, should not have a defect, right? So we expect sellers to stick up to those higher standards and maintain a very tight threshold of 0.5%. On your valid tracking rate for your local shops Prime, you're supposed to maintain 100% valid tracking rate. There is no chance of a non-tracking shipment. And again, lastly, on your on-time delivery rate, you're supposed to maintain 97% of the metric. So once you're doing this, you can be eligible for getting the Prime programs on EasyShip or on local shops. And to maintain continuous eligibility on these programs, again, we expect that you maintain these thresholds to be eligible for the Prime programs. Lastly, you can go to your performance tab on your Seller Central account, and under that you will find the account health option. There you can check and keep tracking your metrics as we also track for you. So ensure that you regularly visit that page and ensure that your metrics are under these expected thresholds. These values are also available on that page as a tracking goal for all of you. Moving on to the next aspect that we'd want to cover today, it's on shipping performance, right? We expect sellers to ensure they follow a set of good practices and timely ship out all their orders. The first key practice that we expect and we would want to discuss with you today is using the filters that we have on the manage orders page. Manage orders page is the single page where you get all your pending orders that you need to fulfill. There are different tabs, as you can see, orders which are pending, which have just been placed and they will get confirmed to you. Orders which are unshipped in nature and you need to act on them. Orders which are cancelled because you did not act on them, or orders which are sent because you have already handed it over to the carrier or you have already scheduled a pickup for them, right? So primarily, we want you to look at the filters that are available on the left panel. These are one-click options for you to easily figure out which orders are more important for you to be shipped out today, tomorrow, and likewise. So you can look at all orders with a ship by today filter and ensure that you fulfill all those orders. And again, we will be covering the slots and how your day-to-day process should be to filter out orders and what are the expected timelines we expect you to adhere to. But at this point, we'd want to focus on using these filters to very conveniently figure out what orders do you have for today. Are you receiving a spike? Because these are the times when customers place most orders, and we believe you should be ready to fulfill all these orders. So you should be able to figure out which orders do you need to fulfill today, tomorrow, and likewise. Similarly, there are options for you to selectively only look at guaranteed delivery orders, or let's say prime orders. So please be aware and use these filters to your benefit to figure out which orders you should process. Moving on, we have a bunch of other good practices in this slide, where we will start with, again, we just covered the manage orders filtering. You should be very judicious to be carefully using the filters and figuring out which orders to process when. Next up, as a good practice, would be to be very accurate and correct on pricing of your offers. We have found time and again that incorrect pricing results in unwanted customer attraction, and they place orders which sellers eventually could not fulfill, which is again a bad experience for you, where you will incur bad reputation on your offers, and customers who have placed orders maybe at a very attractive price, which is too good to be true. So please ensure that your internal processes, if you're uploading some files on pricing, should ensure the right numbers to be there. So have quality checks internally so that all your offers carry the right prices that you intend the offers to sell on. Next up, as a good practice, is to maintain the right inventory availability. Many a time sellers may put in some higher inventory in their account settings, which is not recommended from Amazon. What you have physically available should be the right reflection of what you want to surface on your Seller Central accounts. And then you need to physically ensure that that number of inventory is dedicated to Amazon orders, and you're there to, in case there's a potential increase in demand, you're able to handle, because you already have that inventory that you have specified on your Seller Central account. Next up is to maintain sufficient staff. Sufficient manpower should be available in case you want to hire more on a contractual basis. So now is the best time to start doing that. Ensure that whatever additional sales do you get, whatever additional bandwidth do you need in terms of identifying, picking, packing, and processing your orders is adequately available. You should also ensure backup in the form of internet as well as power, so that in case there are any issues that happen, there are always alternate backup options available, so that you don't miss out on processing orders against the set SLAs that you need to process them. We strongly recommend that you have a regular cadence on looking at your seller panel figuring out, using the filters that we just discussed, figuring out which orders need to be processed, and taking times at regular intervals to process these orders. So we strongly recommend that you process orders multiple times every day, every business day. You are always recommended to keep your packages ready before the start of the EasyShip's pickup slot timings, right? We have two slots, 11 to 1 a.m., 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. and 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. We strongly recommend you to keep the packages ready before the start of the slot. We have also available some product functionalities for you to leverage in case you need them. Functionalities in the form of account on vacation, functionalities like prime control order volume, or if you want to take holidays for some reasons during the event or otherwise, you can always feel free to use the holiday functionality and configure holidays when you need. These are all good practices, and we strongly recommend you to continue selling on Amazon using these operational practices that would help you to fulfill orders timely and process orders timely. As a good practice, again, we strongly suggest that you have a look at your pending orders thrice a day at least, around 10 a.m. in the morning to clear out any overnight load. Then again at 12:30 p.m. because a slot starts, the second slot, the final slot of the day starts at 1 p.m. So 12:30 p.m. To just ensure that all last orders for that day need to go out. And then again at 6 p.m. so that any order that comes in the second half of the day is also scheduled for a pickup on EasyShip. And if you have MFN, then you can hand over to the carrier even later in the day, so you can ship confirm accordingly. Again, on all guaranteed delivery orders, if you're a guaranteed delivery order prime seller, then you only get the second pickup slot, which is the 1 to 4 p.m. slot. So be very conscious that you only get the single slot, which is the second slot. And for all standard non-guaranteed delivery orders, you will get 2 slots, as we discussed earlier. So as again a good practice, what we recommend is you schedule your orders and fulfill your orders, hand over to the associate twice, use both the slots so that you also are able to distribute your workload, enable the right cadence to have your staff also get time to process orders throughout the day rather than concentrate over one slot. And that is why we have 2 slots so that you can leverage them and distribute your workload as well. Next up, we'd want to take up a topic on EasyShip ESD-based processing. So again, we have come across the term ESD or ship by date, right, in the past. So all orders basis your handling time get a designated ship by date, which is also called as estimated ship date. So on all your EasyShip orders, you will be able to schedule a pickup and be expected to hand over only on your estimated ship by date. So you need to be aware that the orders will get assigned to get a pickup on a particular date, which is the estimated ship by date. Obviously, you will be allowed to late ship, but you're strongly recommended to fulfill orders on that same estimated ship by date. And you need to keep your orders packed and ready, so you're able to hand it over to the associate when they come. Let's move on to the next topic, which is around successful pickups. What are some of the good practices that we recommend so that you ensure that all your pickups that are scheduled are actually handed over to the carrier partner? You should provide a complete pickup address along with a landmark so that the associate is able to reach to you conveniently. You should also provide a contact number for your own for somebody in your staff who can communicate with the associate in case he is facing trouble reaching your location. You should be definitely looking at scheduling pickups for packages which are ready for a handover. If in case you're not ready for a handover, then it becomes difficult for the associate to visit you and not be able to pick up the packages. So that's an additional burden, and we strongly recommend that you only schedule packages which are ready with you. Again, you should be ready before the slot starts, 11 a.m. in case of the first slot, as well as 1 p.m. in case of the second slot. Pickup associates are not advised to just wait idly at your location in case you're still not ready with the packages, because they will have their own set of pickups to be done in that same slot. So be ready with the packages before the start of the slot. You're recommended to use good quality printers, inks, and ensure a very clean and clear printing out of the shipping label. That will help any scanning process that your shipment goes through in the future. So you're not supposed to change anything on your label. It's already sized according to the best format. So you need to follow these practices to ensure that your shipment doesn't get lost in transit or while getting delivered to the customer. In case you want to reschedule a pickup for any of your orders, then you should discard your older label and then reprint the new label. So you'll get a new label after you reschedule it. So ensure that you do that. In case you have an operational reason because of which you have to change your pickup address, all your already scheduled orders need to be cancelled. So you have to use this form which is available on your Seller Central help, and in that case you will, and it's not a usual use case, but in case you are relocating your warehouse or something, you should get your pickups cancelled for that day and then change the pickup address to be able to inform the new delivery associate or the new team to pick up from your new location. So you'll have to schedule the pickup again. You should not reschedule the orders, because then it'll get tagged back to your original location. Next up, we'll be covering a topic on delayed promises. During such events, we may have some form of contingencies. We may have much higher volumes than we anticipated. And in some cases, we may have to delay the promises on your orders. This is primarily to ensure that we show the right promises to customers. We should not set a wrong understanding that the order will get delivered faster than we actually expect it to be delivered, and specifically at the time of high demand. So we will, having said, we will be regularly reviewing how we show the promises and ensure that the right promises are shown. Again, it's a function of how much handling time you configure and how much transit time the carrier takes. So ensure that your self-shipped carrier or your third-party carrier that you're associated with on your self-ship orders are also delivering the orders and picking up the orders timely and ensuring the customer success. Next up, we'll cover the return and refund related policies on EasyShip. So a CS associate is equipped to issue refunds on behalf of sellers for certain valid use cases. We have the two use cases defined here. One is the general adjustment that can be done for shipments which are being returned to you, and the second one would be on the return less refunds. So the reason code that you can see in your return manage returns page would be specifically shown as general adjustment if for the first reason, and then any other reason code apart from general adjustment would be denoted for return less refunds. So on the general adjustment piece, you can look at the safety claim, see what if any amount has been wrongly debited, and take actions accordingly. On the second case, when there's a return-less refund, there's no action required from your part. It's only issued on evaluated orders which are eligible proactively for a refund. Okay. We also recommend you to look at the return and the refund policy so that the policy specifics are very clear, and then there's no confusion at your end as well. Moving on to the safety claims. So the seller assurance for e-commerce transaction as a feature that was launched enables you to claim for a reimbursement for any losses which is not controllable due to any of your doings, right? So if there's a in-transit loss or in form of any damage that you've faced on your forward or return packages, then Amazon will review. You can raise claims and Amazon will review and proceed with reimbursement post the evaluation. So be aware that safety claims can be raised for the right reasons. Obviously, we'll expect some inputs from you. We'll do our due diligence, and then accordingly, we will ensure that we are reimbursing you for any monetary impact that you're bearing because of the damage to the products, right? So mostly these were the topics we wanted to cover. Quickly going to the set of things that we spoke about just now. Speed is very important. Ensure that you set the right handling time on your offers. This will ensure your customers get faster delivery timelines on offers, and then your offers become attractive. So we covered about how you can manage account level handling time, how you can do offer level, ASIN level handling time through 1x1 or bulk feed uploads. Ensure that second thing we covered is ensuring performance during this time. Manage timely ship outs, the 5 metrics that we covered: late dispatch rate, cancellation rate, order defect rate, and then valid tracking rate and order on-time delivery rate for your self-ship orders. So ensure that you keep a close track on your metrics. Ensure that you are managing your ship outs properly and timely. The good practices we discussed with manpower availability, backup in the form of internet and power, distributing your load and your scheduling packages on your first slot as well as on second slot. So ensure these good practices and manage your load accordingly. Then we spoke about pickups on shipping on ESD for either ship and being ready with your packages before the pickup slots, ensuring the good practices in the form of your account information, your addresses, your physical printer, ink, and other aspects. So ensure that they are in place timely before the start of the festival. And finally, we covered on the return policy as well as the safety related options that you have in case there are issues that you face with your returns. So this was all that we had for today.
With that, once again, thank you, Sela, for participating today. You all have a good day going forward.